Okay, right. Take seat. Okay, I got no idea. Now, hello there. How you doing? Please excuse me if I'm not making eye contact with you. This camera has no viewfinder on, but because of the length of the piece I'm going to try and do, I'm kind of stuck with it. I have a sneaking suspicion that might be too close. I'm just going to lean forward. Let's try it this way. There, I'm going to get on with it actually. So hopefully you can hear me. If you can see me is immaterial. I do apologize for the creaking of the chair that I've just noticed is going on here. So I'm Paul Murphy. This is my latest lyric booklet. It's called Doorways. And there's a song in here that it's impossible for me to sing purely because it is 63 verses long, so I'm going to try and do a recital version of it. I'm going to find it now. What page is it on? Here we go. It's on page 112. And it's called Avenues Just Left. That's page 111. So I apologize if I'm not making eye contact with you while I'm going to be looking at this a lot in any case. And I apologize if my voice stumbles. I apologize if I fall off the chair. I get by best I can. A smidgen more comfortable. If I do that, you can see what I'd like to go on Amazon buy. All the royalties go to my beautiful children who are on the walls behind me. Hopefully you can see them. Avenues Just Left. They're forging trading cards of the massacre, and they're selling them outside the schools, whispering you'll learn more from these than you ever will from those fools. The laundry room is filled to bursting with deserters from the conscription call. Sisters of mercy remove their hoods and scream, get them up against the wall. The one-eyed Bible seller whispers sermons to the blind. For his final performance, he speaks to them in mime. He signs, repentance ain't as good as vengeance. Now get out and cross the line. And don't forget, any of you, to leave your sister's address behind. There's rustling in the garden. It looks like a statue's come to life. Pierre seizes his opportunity and swiftly makes her his wife. He says you'll make a pretty penny and puts her in a starring role. The first line of the book of Genesis is, exploitation's good for the soul. Danielle sighs things and never easy, but the bottle takes the sting away. She's 16 going on 50, and her midnight starts around midday. Mom and Dad have gone to war again and left her in the danger zone. If there was ever a truce at all, it happened when she wasn't home. She goes out wearing chiffon and comes back with an IOU. It's a strange way to make a living, but what's a girl to do? Prince Charming came to plight his troth, but left no forwarding address. His note said, if it's meant to be, you'll get it right on the first guess. Peter's polishing his silver as 3 times the cock did crow. He runs into the cave and screams, get packed, we gotta go. I thought we'd seen the last of him, but it seems he can't take a hint. He talks about forgiveness, but his eyes have got a wicked glint. There's a knock upon the bedsit door. Natalie opens it nervously. Steve's there with a tight t-shirt on, smiling lasciviously. You made me a promise, and now you're going to see it through. You stare at your poster wall, and I'll do what I came to do. Outside by the hotel pool, things are turning interesting. Someone's playing Love Me Tender on a guitar with just one string, while down below the waterline, the temperature's getting hot. You can hear a low voice murmuring, "I'll tell you when to stop." The scene is too dimly lit for observers to get a clear view. They ask for their money back, snarling, "I might as well look at you." The receptionist says, "No refunds. Everything's as advertised. If you didn't see what you came to see, go buy yourself some new eyes." Dr. Scum, he keeps his world centered around his next cocaine fix. He slaughters babies in the womb and shrugs, "Well, I'm allowed to get my kicks." His wife's a soul famine creator. She runs the mortuary halls. She laughs, "Lord bless the little lambs," and writes it in their blood on the walls. They dance amongst the bodies, mouths frothing out madness foam. Laughing, we get away with so much murder. Herod, please get off our throne. You can only hope they burn forever. In the lair of hell even Dante did not know. If you ever get them wired up, give me the switch to throw. In the Palisades of power, the election results are coming in. No one's cast a vote yet, but they all know who's going to win. Democracy is 30 seconds once every 5 years. Then back down to the catacombs to pay off your ancestors' arrears. There's a streak across the sun today, an ominous portent. If you want a useful tip for free, hide behind someone you resent. All the things you dreamed of doing, you've left them far too late. You know that things are getting bad when there's 4 horsemen at your gate. Over in the piano room, envy purrs seductively. She says, "I adore your love song. Now come, play it on me." Her target clears his arid throat and says, "My true love's waiting back home." She whispers close into his ear, "I'll show you pleasures you've never known." She slides out of her ball gown and lies there in her lingerie. He groans, "Oh hell, what's one more sin?" and throws self-restraint away. He gets home as the dawn breaks. His excuse is well prepared. Envy got there before him, though, and his true love is no longer there. The fleet are sailing back again. The captain had misplaced their charts. They took aim at the first ship they saw and sunk out Noah's Ark. The Dove is searching frantically, looking for somewhere to land. A sniper takes aim and fires, saying, "I was only following commands." It's been a wild night in Bremen. An angel came in to play. The fisherman says, "I shouldn't look, but I can't turn my face away." Can it still be adultery if a husband gives his consent? And is this a good time for me to ask where my own opportunity went? Archimedes screams Eureka, and not a single moment too soon. There's things that can be done in daylight that would bring tears to the moon. He says, all things being equal, the force is proportional to the pleasure. He scrawls, "Do not disturb in the dust," and entreats, "Increase the pressure." They've been cultivating poppies on the fields of the Somme, singing, "No, they did not die in vain. Look how long the peace went on." If you lined all the trenches up, they'd circle twice the world. If you don't want to double that number, best keep your fingers curled. Outside of the Memorial Hospital, an ambulance sits with its engine running. A naive nurse waves the porter hello, and he entices her to come in. Before she knows what's happening, she's on her bended knees as the driver pulls away at speed, impervious to her pleas. The next day she tells the administrator and is brave enough to name the names. She snaps at her, "You worthy instigator, have you no sense of shame? Everybody's had a turn, and so I might have one too." She drags the nurse to the stairwell, smirking. "I've got a surprise in store for you." The bulldozers are lined up in rows. Arlington's outlived its use. President said, "I don't like losers. Now put their bones to good use." A placard bearer lies in their path. On the foreman's side, there's always one. He laughs as she goes under his wheels. "Bet you wish you'd swap that hand sign for a gun." Grace is bathing on the sun deck, enjoying a summer day's dream, when out across the harbor comes an ear-splitting scream. 40 freedom seekers in a 10-man dinghy capsized a mile from shore. Come the morning's yardarm shadow, Neptune will receive 24 more. Strange smoke smell in Alabama. Strange torches being lit after dark. Vizier in the White Hood mocks, "Boy, it was good enough for Joan of Arc." The cops question all the victims and grin. Their bodies didn't say a thing. I guess they won't be pressing charges. Tonight will make a flesh pendulum swing. The commandos are on maneuvers. A preemptive defensive strike is planned. They're given orders to shoot on sight, and a Jesus Saves grenade in their left hand. They've analyzed the outcome. One survivor is one too many. They ask how many prisoners they should take, and the general snaps, "Don't take any." They lead off with the chlorine, taking out the hospitals first, poisoning the water supply, so babies slowly die of thirst. Johnny says, "Is this what we signed up for?" And he was never heard from again. His widow received a terse telegram that said he wasn't all there in his brain. Sylvie can't forget her school days and her teachers saying, "Stay after class. You need some discipline, young lady, and I'll film it while wearing this mask. The nicer that you treat me now, the longer these films will stay private." His colleague later asked him how it was. Succulent to get in there and try it. The golden days of childhood immediately stripped away. Don't matter where she's gone since then, she's still trapped in that day. Of course, she was not the first. More importantly, she was not the last. When the satyrs come to feed, they demand an endless repast. Icarus wakes and shakes his head and smiles. What a nice sunny morning. 20 minutes after taking flight, he wishes he'd heeded his father's warning. As he plummets neath gravity's hand, he sighs, "I wish I'd changed my route, or taken heed of Papa's advice, or brought a parachute." Over in the winter chalet, the con men are preparing to dine. Bring us fresh teenage au pairs with a side dish of roofied wine. Their fathers are late on their payments, so we're taking the interest in advance. I guess we're too kind-hearted for giving them this second chance. The Burgermeister views the proceedings. and whimpers oh to be young again. The kickbacks are well received, of course, but I'd love to hear the thin one cry my name. He trudges off back home alone, walks in and kisses his daughter's cheek. Asks any other friends you'd recommend if there are some more vacancies next week. The bells chime 13 times an hour now. Esmeralda groans, what fresh hell is this? Even the town prefect was satisfied with a low-down kiss. Anyone who thinks that looks don't count has never done their maths. Can't someone set fire to the belfry for me? Is that too much to ask? In the vice president's antechamber, the deacon's got a Bible to edit. He's got to remove the Lord's name and give the new administration all the credit. And on the slopes of Rushmore, they're taking the old faces down. Dignity's been up there too long, so the quislings are chiseling in a clown. There's a shower bank waiting at the cemetery gates underneath the no vacancy sign. The pallbearer knocks upon the driver's door and asks, any chance this is mine? A silent nod is the answer, and he climbs in gratefully. He said, I've often wondered what the fuss was about. At last I'll get to see. Ty was filled with trepidation. The sheikh sent a curse with his last breath. All those who have betrayed me shall meet an untimely death. She cries, I have an alibi. I was otherwise engaged. And anyway, it looks to me like the murder scene was staged. She points to her part-time lover and whispers, my money is on her. Marlene leads the accused into the kitchen, murmurs, me or jail, which do you prefer? By the time the questioning is over, Inspector Marlene is satisfied, while a long white robe leads to the lake, upon where an angel now glides. In the abattoir photo agency, a new debutante is ushered in. Make yourself comfortable, my dear, she's told, as intention fingers stroke her skin. After some cursory profile shots, she's divested of her clothes. Her prostatations are brushed off with a snap. This is how it goes. Now you can be a good girl, but that won't get you very far. See the rolled up pound note on my desk. See the size of my car. A taxi takes her home with a portfolio that she can never let her family view. Another hopeful met reality with the leather sofa pay-per-play crew. In the Appalachian Mountains, the miners have gone on strike, hurling curses at Dinaves. There's nothing here that we like. They've worked until their fingers bled, and they used their mules for food. Delos Cassis nods sagely and says that'll teach her to intrude. Across town at the car wash, the girls are working through the night. Eyelids are getting heavy, while fingers are getting light. Two of them keep the punters transfixed while a third rifles through the boot, gives them the thumbs-up signal, and hot-foots it out with the loot. When they're divvying up the spoils, that's when the arguments start. How can this be a three-way split when two of us are working from the heart? Only losers agree with equality. The winners think autocracy is best. The good life beckons one of them. Take whatever comes your way, goes to the rest. Sitting alongside the Bowery bums, Plutarch scribes, I feel so remote. I asked if they knew where Pliny was too, and the next thing I had 5 hands on my throat. Everyone's a philosopher here. I should have stayed where I had some renown. I'm going to try my fortune next down in Hollywood town. Thomas is feeling lucky today outside of the brewery walls. When he heard the words, "On your marks," he was the first one out of the stalls. In the subway elevator, his waitress is serving him lunch. Her menu says you'll be eating even better much later, at least that's my hunch. He meets her in the public park, ready for some recreation. Hoists her on his back and smiles, talk about a working man's vacation. The lookouts all gaze inwards, they can't prise their eyes away, and all the sightseers make frottages and put them upon display. They've performed an autopsy on the mockingbird and decreed that it was suicide. The catcher in the rye wipes the sweat from his brow and thanks the foreman for an easy ride. The judge ruled no right of appeal with more than a soupçon of contempt. Not only has he lost all sense of purpose, he didn't even see where it went. Fettuza says to Lampetia, "I'm bored as heck today." Lampetia hums, "Well, that's not good. Sidle over here and let's play." She holds a rose in one hand, and the other she makes into a fist. 2 sides to every story, 3 sides to every myth. By the time the palace guard gets there, she's known the touch of both. Helios shakes his head and sighs, "I don't know which of you to blame the most." It's all too much for the palace guard. He cries out, "Damn all gods," leaps from the tower window, clutching a lightning rod. It's market day in Tallahassee. There's a melee in every saloon. The mail-order bride cries, "I think not," and prays a stage out of town will get in soon. The preacher, he takes a sip of Bible gin and yells, "Ye sinners, be afraid." They laugh as they take him by the arms and throw him over the balustrade. In the Homeland Security Office, there's a fresh-faced intern working all alone. A second-hand coffin salesman comes in and says, "Hello," in an ominous tone. She climbs up a 10-step ladder to get some box files from a shelf, and pretty quick she learns the perils of being in there by herself. And later in the Aftermath canteen, she relates to her colleagues the events, who nod their head understandingly, but sadly it's all pretense. The pink slip's there before the hour's out, marked, "We don't like whistleblowers here." And don't forget, we've got your address. Hope you get our meaning loud and clear. There's confetti on the minefields, next to a bouquet of razor wire. The captain lines the draftees up and asks, "Ever heard of friendly fire?" He ducks beneath the parapet of a trench as machine gun sonnets ring loud, grinning, "I love the stench of death. My country does me proud." Susie's been putting double shifts in, down to the all-night laundromat. She used to dream of a college degree, but too many bad boys put the brakes on that. She's saving every cent she gets, serving customers in every way, dreaming of a brand new life when she only has to work 10 hours a day. In a basement down by the Stasi block, the monitor's concocted some French insanity. He's put 2 white doves in a gilded cage and screams, "Now go to town on each other for me. All before me are puppets. Now smile as you peck each other's eyes." And no one wants to stop the show. Profit never lets itself be compromised. The school welfare officer's gone on gardening leave. Sarah won't be returning to her class. No one did their job properly, and now she's breathed her last. We'll learn from our errors, the inquiry will say, to absolve themselves of their ineptitude sins. Sasha's dad feels empowered on hearing that, and a range of terror for her begins. Come on in and take a seat, Dr. Drill's receptionist smiles. I'm afraid there were clashing appointments. He might be gone for a little while. Private patients, they come first, you see. The rest of you, well, you know how it goes. If you can't afford the fee, you'll get whatever morsels he throws. Bathsheba's all done bathing, and David's waited for as long as he intends. As the first knife makes its entrance, Uriah shrieks, and I thought we were friends. He takes her there for the first time and rewards her with plundered fruit. But if you take away the lamb of your neighbor, you're going to have the Lord in hot pursuit. We're coming for your firstborn, Nathan intoned in a somber resonance. Ask yourself if it was worth it, but please don't take offense. You're not the only one to desire her, and there will be many more to come. Remember that the next time you're making love to her, and also picture your son. In the penthouse's dungeon, the red Empusa leads her captive in. She takes Grace by her delicate hand and commands, do what you will with him. As he lies there charred and dehydrating, she shares with him her own wine, chooses as a talisman from her cabinet, and says the situation's realigned. She smiles, I too have many servants, but note that all of mine are free. As I gave wine to your famulus, so mine gives his to me. Tell me, who will come for you and help you in your hour of need? Servitude only lasts as long as you do, and he knows when you go, he is freed. The screen hypnotizers are on high alert. They've heard democracy's heartbeat. Where is its location? Cried the overseer, and get our private army swift to that street. Once more they arrive too late, and hope lives to fight another morn. And Midas on his golden throne may soon regret the day that he were born. Trying to live vicariously, the poet paints innocent beauty with his heart. He tells himself it's a facsimile, but still, it's a good place to start. His love is a palette of yearning words, and his canvas is his loyal soul. He watches her from a distance most nights, and sighs, let those adjectives roll. Between the thunder and the flame, his well has never dried, while between loss and longing, 10,000 nights he's died. A measure of his feelings as a level above sacrifice. He suspires each pain is a tower of pain, and a change of fortune would be nice. A bottle with a message in was delivered to Tiffany's door. Tell this to all who will listen, it read. Tell it twice to those still unsure. One must fight for what is right, from the first inhale unto the final breath. And if you cannot trust your future, put your faith in avenues just left. I stumbled a couple of times in there. I hope it didn't detract from it. So that's avenues just left. I guess you can see now why I'm never going to be able to... Let's get these off here. Well, I'm never going to be able to sing that. It goes on just a little while. This is not that. And it's, I don't know, it's kind of post-apocalyptic, but it's it's a biblical scree, really, and it dives in and out of time signatures. So it comes back through. So it starts at an inner point, then goes out, and then comes back in, down through, trying to correlate injustices down through the ages. The kind of moral in there is that humanity does not learn from its mistakes, but we've got to keep on trying. I think it's any surprise that was written in the first week of a new administration in a very large country in the world, but it takes it back through there too. Some very bad things have been happening in England. Use those two, if you like, the two stones in the pond that went out, and it was touching ripples. The ripples were catching up with ripples that were already rippling. I guess I'm talking too much and my throat's gone. Well, that came out okay. I don't think I can do it twice. Thank you so much for your patience, dear friends. The book is called Doorways. It contains that and all the royalties. Got an Amazing Children. It's available on Amazon, as indeed all my other books. So if you go to Paul Murphy Doorways at Amazon, I'll show you what else I've written.